Good morning, everybody. October 5th. It is way too early in the morning. We're in Florida. We literally
are Florida men today.
we are Florida men, and we are here to preview the Virginia Tech-Florida State game, joined by a third Virginia Tech fan, and Taylor Tannebaum, who just can't stay out of Blacksburg. She's there every time. She has a great time tweeting about Enter Sandman, tweeting about all the awesome things at Virginia Tech. But in all seriousness, a Florida State grad, ACC network star, Taylor Tannebaum, welcome to the show. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I love that you labeled me as a Virginia Tech fan on the week that your team is playing my alma mater in Florida State. It's very kind of you.
Would you consider yourself, though? You do have a little bit of a Hokie heart, a little bit.
I definitely do. The vibes there are unmatched. Like, it really is such a good feeling when you're there. Love the hospitality. Also, whenever we come to Blacksburg, it's incredible. Fans are great. Administration is so good to us, and everyone in between from Travis on down. And that, the comms side of things, the side that you people don't see, that us TV folks are always begging for stuff. But no, hey, look, I'm a fan of every team in the ACC at this point, because the better the ACC does, the better it is for me.
A little bit of a political answer this morning. Well played, Taylor. Well played. Should we kick it off with some poetry?
I think it's time.
It's
time for some poetry.
It's time. We do Hokie haikus. You know this.
Let's go.
Hokie haiku.
Let's go.
So first Hokie haiku. This was actually submitted late night Saturday night. It missed the boat on the podcast, so we have to jump back into the pit game. Andrew Mitchell, who actually was a leader of the 2018 Virginia Tech Florida State tailgate on Labor Day. Tootin' was scootin'. Lane Stadium was hootin'. Is the season saved?
I'm sure he was very, very sober when he wrote that as well.
I mean, honestly, with that kind of alliteration and rhyming, very impressive, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm fired up.
We have another good one. It's from Hokie Hack. I love Hokie Hack. Hokies have sizzle. Let's go 1-0 this weekend. I need more Smithfield. So, well done. Amazing poetry, everybody. Before we talk about Florida State, I'd like the Lane Stadium recap from you again. I know we ask you this every time you come on the podcast. Can you just give us a little bit of a summary of the weekend? And I do appreciate when we asked you how it went. We were kind of anticipating that you would be like, look, Sandman is fantastic. You didn't even mention it yet. So tell us a little bit about your whole weekend.
I do. It's one of the few entrances that, that's really when I'm getting ready for my hit, is when the entrance is happening and they're kind of counting down in my ear. I'm listening to the guys in the booth who are doing their spiel before they toss down to me. So you kind of have to be in your own head and in your own moment. But that's the one that I really kind of stand there and take it in. Like, I actually pay attention to that intro and what's going on. It's electric. It was so cool this week because it was pure whiteout. So it was, really, people actually bought into, like, people really, truly, I hate when people don't follow a theme. That makes me so angry. It drives me up a wall. So I was very grateful that everybody followed the theme, wore their white.
Happy Halloween. I dressed up as myself this year. Okay. Awesome.
I had the little sound meter. I got to measure the decibels. The sound meter that I had, at least during it, went up to probably, I think the height of it was maybe around 111, which is really legit. This is for a 1-3 team. You have to remember, this isn't we're fighting for a national championship at this point. And so it was really cool. It's just, it reminds you why you love college football, right? For those reasons.
Mm-hmm. Hokie history or Seminole stories time?
Oh man, we do have some Hokie history here for you, Taylor, and for the listeners. This is the 38th matchup between Virginia Tech and Florida State, dating all the way back to, I believe it was 1955 was the first matchup between these two. Florida State leads the series 23-13 and then one tie. There was a stretch where Bobby Bowden had our number. 12 wins in a row for Bobby Bowden and the Noles from 1976 through 2005. We finally got the monkey off our back in 2007 with Tyrod Taylor. But unfortunately, we never get to play Florida State.
No.
And it's a huge bummer.
I know.
Because these are some fan bases that really have some great history between them. Obviously, the national championship game, the Gator Bowl in 2002, a few ACC championship games back and forth. But I'm excited to be finally back here. You know, we haven't had Florida State come to Lane Stadium since 2012, which is
a long time.
It's kind of a disaster.
And that's why we fixed the whole scheduling model, because of that reason. Like, you're missing things like this, and it's not good for the sport. It's not good for the fans. So happy to have, it'll get a little altered now with the 3 other schools joining, but this will pretty much be the basis of it. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Exactly. So I did mention the 2018 win, which was one of those games that
you were there.
I did go. It was my first time in Doak. Had an awesome time. 24-3 Virginia Tech. We were ready to buy our national championship tickets after that game. And things shortly went downhill. We lost to Old Dominion on the road 3 or 4 weeks later. So that was a bit of a disaster. I mentioned the 2012 game. That was an EJ Manuel game. EJ hit Rashad Green on a last-minute score in the fourth quarter to silence a freezing cold Lane Stadium on a Thursday night.
Is that when they had those weird like Under Armour camouflage?
Yeah.
I always love what Florida State does with their jerseys. Those were weird.
I think actually both sides did it. We had them too.
Okay.
Yep. 2010 was the Tyrod Taylor masterclass game of dominance in the ACC championship in Charlotte. We did have a pick 6 by Jaron Gavea-Winslow, who's on our staff now.
I was there.
You're at that game.
That was a cold one too.
It was freezing.
Price of orange juice must have been expensive the next couple of weeks, dude.
Oh, I get it.
You get it?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then obviously we can go back to the 2000 national championship game. Peter Warwick dominated that night. Michael Vick dominated as well, but not enough, as Florida State was the national champions. Was that an end-to-end year? Did they start number 1 and finish number 1? Is that what that documentary they just put out?
I thought that was 90. Yeah, you said 99?
Yeah, the 99 season too. So,
yeah,
2000.
So yes, they went wire to wire.
Wire to wire.
Must be nice.
Wait, we got to read the last thing from Coach Holmes.
So Coach Holmes texted me this. And again, you're so right. It is a bummer that we don't play them nearly enough. And we quite frankly don't play Clemson nearly enough. Again, I'm glad this is getting fixed. We have Clemson at home next year, which is exciting. I got a text message from Coach Holmes, who saw Bert Kreischer at Red Rocks last night. I'm sure that was epic. Good morning, Billy. Little bit of Hokie history for the podcast this week. In 1973, Florida State visited Blacksburg for a noon kickoff. Florida State showed up in their half-cut mesh jerseys. It ended up being 25 degrees at kickoff. I need to decline this phone call. And that day, Virginia Tech ended up winning 36-13. So, look, people are excited. This is going to be a fun matchup. And look, at the end of the day, you have 2 teams that are undefeated in ACC play in the month of October. There's only room for one true ACC championship contender, and we're going to find out who that is this Saturday at Doak Campbell Stadium.
So it's going to start with quarterbacks. We saw the emergence of Kyron Drones last week. 5 total touchdowns. Really looked like a star out there. But Taylor, we want to hear about Jordan Travis. We've been going to a lot of games this year, so we haven't gotten to watch as much Jordan Travis as we would like to. We know he's got size. We know he's got talent around him. Currently 6th in the Heisman odds right now. But what's the scoop on JT?
So the scoop on JT is he continues to be better in every single department, right? Like you look at the JT a couple of years ago who was getting booed off the field and, was going from backup to starter. And now you see a dude who's completely confident in his game, right? He is what makes this offense go. Obviously he touches the football every single time, but he has the freedom to make decisions out there. He has the wherewithal to make the right decisions. That's the difference too, is he's taking care of the football. There were a couple of points in that LSU game in that first half where he made some questionable decisions. And since then, he's been pretty darn good. He hasn't had to run a ton. That's the biggest thing, is for years, everyone's like, oh, Jordan Travis is just a running quarterback. He's rushed for less than 100 yards this year because he has the weapons on his team now and can make those throws. People knocked him for so many years about how he's not a passer. He's improved that aspect of his game. You're just seeing a mature guy, a guy who's really grown into his own. The coaches have fed him with confidence, and you can see that emerging now. You're also seeing a guy, I think, who shows a little bit more personality on the field now. Like, you see the fire in him. You see his reaction sometimes is, he's a pretty stone-faced kind of dude. He doesn't get too high, too low, but sometimes you do see him react this season, and I kind of like that. You're seeing a guy who really believes in what this team can do.
The one thing about Florida State, as we're concerned with storylines right now, that is interesting, and I hope it's not this week that this happens. Every great football team that wins or participates in a national championship has that 1 week where they go out and they just mop the floor with another Power 5 team. And Florida State hasn't done that yet this year. They trounced LSU, who might be 3-3 after this weekend. They beat Southern Miss 66-13. They're a 1-4 football team. Barely escaped a bad Boston College team, 31-29. You could argue that Boston College lost that game by all of the penalties that they were giving up. And then they beat Clemson in overtime, who, for the first time in a very long time, at this point in the season, is playing for pride, which is odd, but they're still a talented team. This has nothing to do with their talent level. They are supremely talented. They're littered with NFL guys across the roster. I'm just hoping that this isn't the week that it all comes together, because you feel like it's going to at some point.
If I'm going to be honest with you, it needs to be the week that happens. And I hate saying that. I really do.
Right.
And
I hate hearing it.
I like Virginia Tech. I just think the trajectories that are on are very different, right? Like Florida State actually has the ability this season to play for a national championship. And at this point, you need to see the 4 quarters from this team. Like, you're coming off of a bye. You should be as healthy as you've been since before you started the season, right? They were missing a couple of offensive linemen, and Maurice Smith and Robert Scott, who should be coming back potentially this week, a safety and Akeem Dent. Some of their receivers have been dinged up, and they've been practicing, so that's good news. Jordan Travis was dealing with the shoulder injury. Should have given him, a week and a half to not have to do anything crazy to heal that up a little bit, because it was certainly bothering him in that Clemson game. But with that being said, with the highs of that first month of the season that Florida State had, it's not really a surprise necessarily that some of these games were close, right? They were exerting so much energy week in, week out. You had the LSU game at a neutral site, then Southern Miss, but that's sandwiched between going on the road to Boston College, which, to be fair, Boston College would play you tough. And it was the red bandana game, right? And they're reeling too. They need a win. They start off their season with a loss to Northern Illinois. Like, they're in a position too where they're trying to fight for something. And then you have to go to Death Valley, a place that nobody wins. They fight it out for an overtime win. This is the week that now they've had a chance to breathe, that they need to come out and say 4 quarters of football, right? Not just the second half of LSU, not just the first half of Boston College, not just, hey, you had moments in the second half. The defense helped you offensively against Clemson, and then in overtime you're able to get it done with that big pass to Keon Coleman. Like, this is the week that they need to show we are the superior team in the league.
It's kind of funny because over the past couple of years, I don't make fun of Florida State, but Florida State would come out, be highly ranked, and not overachieve. Miami gets supreme preseason props, and North Carolina gets supreme preseason props. And it's like that scene in The Office where everybody's holding the guns up, and they're like, "Which one of you guys is a fraud? We don't know yet." They're all sitting undefeated. The ACC is a ton of fun this year.
It is.
Talk to me about the offense. Well, first, the lines of this football game.
Oh my gosh. I didn't see anything of like, all I saw was Virginia Tech is a 25-point dog. It was either 24 or 25. Yeah. I saw it go up to 27. I don't know where it is now. But I can say that I've never seen that big of a number next to our name in the opposite direction.
Can we go on I want to go on a tangent here for a minute. So the line is 24 points and the over-under is 53.
Okay.
Is there a score? Because we're riding high right now. I think this week is kind of considered a wash. You're kind of like, okay, we're playing Florida State. Like, if we compete, great. Just show up and let's put out a good effort. We're obviously rooting for us to win, but that's just kind of the fan expectation.
Right.
What does the score have to be on Saturday to put you back where you were before the Pitt game?
So you're saying what is going to make you upset?
No. Because you're going to be, I'm saying what has to bring you back down to like devastation station. Like you're
goal.
Yes. No. If we play it close, a lot of people are like, if we play it close, I'm going to be heartbroken. I'm going to be fired up. I'll be bummed. I'll be like, oh, we're find a way to win. But I just want to see us compete at a high level against one of the best programs in college football this year.
Because we were talking about this on our drive last night. Billy said, would you rather beat Florida State and then not make a bowl, or make a bowl game
Yeah.
but lose this game against Florida State. I'm like, well, if you win on Saturday and then don't make a bowl, that means something must have gone awfully wrong.
So I'll take the L and go to a bowl. Yeah.
True. Very true.
Yeah. Give me a win in the bowl game, obviously, but option was not on the table.
Mhm.
But over under 53, I don't know who's taking the under there.
I don't know who's taking the under there too. I mean,
Not me.
Talk to me a little bit about the offense.
All right, so Florida State's offense is the 5th ranked scoring offense in America. They're averaging 43.3 points per game. Jordan Travis, obviously, he can throw the ball around the yard, 279 passing yards per game. Now, we were joking last week because prior to Pittsburgh, we actually had the 2nd best pass defense in America. Now, the sample size is a little bigger now, and our passing D is ranked number 10th. So still solid, only allowing 157 passing yards per game. We've played a lot of teams that are run first. But what do you think about the pass defense against this team?
So my biggest fear really is just outside, like how banged up we are in the secondary. And I love that young guys are getting experience. That's awesome. That's fantastic. The young guys are getting experience. The kind of experience that I don't want them to get is this week. I mean, you're looking at a couple of freshmen who are going to have an opportunity to put some film out there against a 6'7", 240-pound Johnny Wilson and a projected first-round pick in Keon Coleman. And Tech has to kind of pick their poison on, do you want to put Mansour D-Lane at the cornerback position and then risk, having a inexperienced back end to try to fill the gaps and pick up. Right. Last week they made a decision that Mansour D-Lane was going to play safety. I think he played safety the entire game. Yeah. So to me, that's the thing that scares me the most. I know this isn't related to this football game, but it's related to last week and the rest of the ACC. I got to say, I've been really surprised at how some of the quarterbacks have played. Like Jordan Travis has been as advertised. Drake May has been as advertised. Phil Jurkovec and Brennan Armstrong both lost their jobs this week when they went back to playing with their old coordinators. It's just been such an interesting year. And then Virginia Tech finds out that they have a quarterback. There's so many crazy storylines in the ACC this year. I'm getting off track, but that's my biggest concern is Florida State has dudes at the wide receiver position, and that is the position that we're, quite frankly, the most banged up at right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And that's where Florida State's made their bread and butter. They have not been able to run the ball. And that's probably one of the areas that they're going to try to focus in on this week, especially because Virginia Tech on the ground has not been great at stopping the run up until last week against Pitt when they only allowed 38 yards, which was great. But they do need to get their run game going. So this might be the perfect recipe for them. But it does start and end with, hey, pick on the secondary first, and then it'll open everything else up, right? So that's the biggest thing for me. It's not even necessarily the talent level's good at Florida State, but it's also the size, right? You have to measure up to 6'7", 6'6", and 6'4", or 6'7", 6'4", 6'3". Don't forget about Jaheim Bell either, the tight end, but he can, he plays a bunch of different spots. So, they've got dudes, and if Portier comes back this week, then that's another really tall kind of dude. So that's probably the biggest. If I'm Brent Pry and trying to figure out defensively Chris Marv, that's probably what I'm losing a little bit of sleep over.
Now, shifting things over to the defense, I'm not sure if Florida State went and checked their mailbox this morning, but they may have gotten a note that from Bashal Tootin that says, "I'm a dog and I'm coming." So talk to me a little bit about Florida State's defense.
Well, first of all,
that was awesome. I loved that. The amount of content that comes out of win games is the best. I mean, we must have tweeted 50 pictures and videos from the game this set. It's so much more fun after you win a football game. It's
so much better. And the other part to that is I knew, like, just from talking to him and just watching the way he plays, like if you ask a kind of question like that to like I don't know, your average buttoned up kind of guy, he's probably not going to give you a great answer. I knew if I asked that question to Bashal Tootin, he was going to give me something good. So that's why it was my last question of the night. I was like, and I knew he was going to come out with something spicy, and he did. So I was really excited. Florida State's defense has been okay. Like, I think there's plenty of room for improvement. And I would argue fixing the run game and fixing the defense and the amount that they bow up when they need to, but they allow explosive plays randomly. And that's, they can dish out explosive plays, but they also allow too many. I mean, their pass defense they're ranked dead last in the ACC at this point, and a lot of that has to do with explosive plays. But when the time comes, they are able, to come up with big stops, i.e. last week against Clemson, blowing them up for the sack fumble. But defensively, I think they will probably talent-wise match up pretty well with Virginia Tech, just in terms of pieces. I'm sure stopping the run will probably be the key for them, forcing Kyron Drones to pass, which, to be fair, he showed off his arm last week. And a couple of those were, the 2 touchdowns were 50-plus yard touchdowns. So if they can limit those explosives, just even a couple of them, and try to shore up the run game a little bit, it could be a long night for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, scoring defense, allowing 22.5 points per game, which is good for 48th national. 48th also in third down defense. So, kind of just a middle-of-the-road defense with a lot of areas to improve. 2 defensive touchdowns, 1 fumble 6, 1 pick 6. Can you talk to us about Jared Verse, though? I mean, he scares the crap out of me.
I think he scares the crap out of everybody.
I think what I love about Jared Verse is, first of all, if you get him off the field, he's like this bubbly, goofy, kind of funny guy. But obviously between the lines, totally different breed. The thing about him this year is maybe you're not seeing his name pop up as much because people are trying to make sure Jared Verse isn't involved, and it's allowing other people to do their thing. But Jared Verse is a factor every time. You're going to have your eyes plus another set of eyes on him at all times. And that's the beauty of having him back. And he did decide to come back this year. He could have went to the NFL. He's still growing as a player. He's still figuring it out because he comes from Albany to Florida State. Last year was his first real year at the FBS level, just kind of making a name for himself. But there's going to come a game this season where it's going to be the Jared Verse game. I don't know when it's going to be, but he's going to break free. And I know for you guys, I know you hope that it's not this weekend. And for Hokie fans listening, I hope it's not this weekend either. But I really do think offenses are keying in on the fact that, hey, Jared Verse is over here. Let's let everyone else beat us and not let it be Jared Verse.
Don't worry, Taylor. If he has 6 sacks on Saturday, we'll be sure to send you that clip, and you can post and say you told us so. In terms of special teams, the one thing that I always say when you play a really talented team like this is you have to find a way to not let the talent outshine you. Because there are so many times when you watch a team like Alabama play an inferior opponent or LSU play an inferior opponent, and it's a close game, and then the game-breaking play that breaks it open is on special teams. And that is, in my opinion, special teams are the purest reflection on how the talent level is different. So that's all I would say about that. There's nothing glaring that comes from the special teams side of things. So we're about to do keys to the game, Taylor. So here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to close your eyes, and I'd like you to try to envision a world that Virginia Tech wins this football game and paint me the picture of how exactly they would do it.
They ran all over Florida State.
I mean, that would be awesome.
I mean, you have to have a couple of those explosives there, just to keep them honest. Hey, Kyron Drones isn't just a running quarterback, but I would say it has to be. They fed between Bashal Tootin, Kyron Drones, and Malachi Thomas, who actually handled the ball well last week and gave the 2 of them breaks. Like, it was good to see him out there. I know he battled so many injuries last year, and they want to at least get him involved a little bit. 59 times they ran the football last week. You got to do that against Florida State if that's the area that they've been struggling, right? Challenge them. Hey, you haven't been able to necessarily stop everybody. Let's see if we can do it. So it's, in my opinion, that's what it has to be, hitting a couple of explosive, getting Florida State maybe out of their element a little bit defensively, but that's probably the key to the game for me.
Yeah.
And what's crazy too,
keep the ball away from the offense too. If you're running the ball, then they don't have a chance to score.
What's crazy too is like this stat was mind-blowing to me, because it's not like, again, this is not a shot. This is just reality. We are still waiting for Virginia Tech's offensive line to play a complete game together. And if you just look at the box score, you're like, oh, dude, last week we figured it out. Right. Bashal Tootin has 301 rushing yards this season total. Okay. Right. Should be a lot more. 238 of the 301 rushing yards have come after contact. Like,
it's insane.
Shout out to Chris Coleman for that number. But I have said this since I watched him play against Old Dominion. Bashal Tutin can start on basically every single ACC team. He is that good. He is that dynamic in the running game. He's that dynamic in the passing game. We saw him block 2 people against Rutgers in the past. Like, I don't really understand what his weaknesses are.
Mr. Do-It-All.
He is really, really, really solid. So I agree with you. I think running the games at the ball is going to be paramount. I also think putting Kyron in a position to where he is allowed to throw. Against Pittsburgh, what we did very, very well was you weren't seeing a lot of 2nd and 11, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12. They were able to get themselves and stay basically ahead of schedule for a lot of the game. So I think that helped. I do think that you can't have 10 penalties for 91 yards against Florida State. And you can't have 12 tackles for loss and expect to be Florida State too. Those are 2 stats that happened in the Pittsburgh game, and we somehow won the football game. 12 tackles for loss, 10 penalties for almost 100 yards. Those 2 things
because Pitt is really struggling. That is why.
Struggling is a very PR word.
To put it kindly.
Yeah, that is a nice way to put it.
Well, this will be the first time that this team goes into an extremely intimidating environment.
Did you not hear the train horns in Rutgers? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. The train horns at Rutgers are another. That's for another planet. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah.
But we talked about it: leadership, energy, swagger, body language. We saw all of it last week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
What can we see early here at Doak Campbell Stadium? You can't get behind early. You need to take risks and take advantage of those short yardage situations where we can run the ball and we can get the first down. So I'm getting fired up.
I can tell. I think one of the things too, it's when you play a team like this, you have to make a decision on, are you trying to win the game or are you trying to keep the score respectable? A lot of times you're faced with that. Now, you can try it early on to try to cut down how often Florida State has the football and just play a low scoring game. It's going to be interesting to see how Tech plays it because we've seen, I'm not going to say Tech has been Jekyll and Hyde, but literally last week was like the exact opposite of what we complained about every single game that we played.
Right.
And one of my keys to the game was literally just swagger. And it's such a buzzword, but they came out there with the expectation. Taylor, one of my favorite clips of the year so far, when Kyron Drones throws his first touchdown, everyone's talking about the spike as being like, oh man, he was really letting him have it. No, the first touchdown, he runs down the field and he gives every Pittsburgh dude the business. And I'm not a big talking junk guy, but Tech was in the position where like they have become so accustomed to losing and so accustomed to getting punched in the face that it was nice to see them kind of show a little moxie and kind of show a little, give somebody the business. So I would love to see Tech come out and play with that same level of swagger. As far as score predictions go, this is going to be the first week I picked us to lose.
Yeah,
this will be the first week I picked us to lose.
Facing reality here.
I'm going to go with 42-17. I think Tech loses 42-17.
Okay,
that's going to be my score. That really sucks to say, but that's what I think. That's
25 points. So
that's 25 points. That's a push.
Depending where it closes, I was going to say 38-14. So very similar scores.
Yeah. What do you got, Taylor?
I might go 42-10. I don't know that they can get two touchdowns. To me is I could see more of like a touchdown field goal we got there, but they stopped us.
I need to find the stat of our scoring streak. I'm going to find it before we leave. That's the one thing that everybody's
about this
week. Oh, you're aware. Okay. I told people.
Yeah, I think you sent it to me.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Little advanced research. It is. I think that's the one thing whenever we play an opponent like this, everybody's extremely worried about the scoring streak. I would actually just like to come out and compete. If we lose the game 3-0, I'm actually going to be fired up. It's not going to be that upsetting. So
this next segment,
do you want to do that? You introduce it because you've done the prep for this.
Okay. So this next segment, we're going to call this, we might need some IVs. a weekend in Tallahassee. And this is
So
brought
good.
to you by Art Taylor. This is our new sponsor, Renew and Restore Wellness in the New River Valley. They're right by Bojangles in Blacksburg. Hokie fans, if you are listening, you're headed in for Syracuse, you're headed in for Wake Forest, you wanted to be that 18 to 22-year-old again, and you might, have a little bit too much fun, but you need to wake up on Monday ready to go. Head on down to R&R Wellness. We will put the link in the description. Our friends over there are awesome. But Taylor, we're going to run it back to Tallahassee.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid fire Florida State student edition. Okay, so put on your thinking cap here, your Chief Osceola hat. We're running it back for a big time weekend. What is the recommended tailgate bar crawl in Tallahassee?
Okay, so for me, see, like so much has changed since I've gone there that it's kind of crazy. Like this restaurant just requested to follow me on Instagram the other day, and they did not exist when I was there, and it's like right around the corner from my sorority house. And I was like, where was this when I was there? But whatever. Pots and Painted. So Potbelly's and the Painted Lady. It's more toward downtown, right? So it's kind of by where my sorority house is. There's some frat houses around there too. That's where I would start. That's always where I went. I would get like a bucket of Coronas, load the Coronas. You know what a loaded Corona is?
Oh, with the grenadine. Yeah.
No.
Oh.
So I guess maybe this might just be a Tallahassee thing. I think other people know about it, but it was definitely like what we would do at happy hours. You get a Corona, you dump a little bit of the beer out. You put Bacardi, like a shot of Bacardi Limon in it with a lemon. No, and you tip it over, and it buries the taste of the liquor. It's a lime flavor.
Okay, so loaded from Painted.
And it works. Loaded Coronas. Then you can go down toward, God, what's it called? Where Madison Social is.
Right.
College Town, whatever it's called.
Recess? Upstairs?
Yes, Recess. It's Madison. See, that's all new. That was not there when I went to school. That's where I would go because you're at least closer to the stadium at that point. And drink your little hearts away there and have a good time. There's always music. That's where like the intramural fields are. So that's where a lot of the tailgate parking is. You can go bop around to people's tailgates and visit all the tents and stuff like that. So go bop around. That's where the RVs are all parked. So I would start at Potbelly's Painted Lady. I would take the walk down St. Augustine, go down toward College Town, or is that what it's called? College Town?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Madison Social, Recess. Check those out. If you need a little bite of food, you can have it there. Then go, hop around the stadium. Then you're there, and you go listen to the music, all the fun stuff that's going on out there.
So we're big like campus tour people. That may make us sound old. It may make us sound like losers, but we enjoy checking out the beauty that is American University
and architecture.
So are there any must-see things on campus? Anything like you go on campus, check out this statue of Jimbo, but people throw eggs at it now because we don't like them anymore. Is there anything around campus that we should check out?
That does not exist, so that's good. Obviously, right outside the stadium is the Unconquered statue, which is beautiful. I think it's outside of UCB, so it's you got to get a picture there. It obviously says Unconquered. It has the horse with the spear and everything, and they light the spear. The spear will be lit and it'll be on fire. So that will be a place that you certainly want to check out, but that's probably closer to game time. Westcott Fountain's on the other side of campus. That's kind of like the entrance. When you look toward the fountain and then you look the other way, you see the Capitol building for the Tallahassee, obviously, is the capital of Florida. That's sort of like the entrance of the school. Hey, this is where we are. So you can go take a picture at the fountain. Florida State has the arch, all that good stuff. In the middle of campus is Landis Green. So it's where everything really intersects. Strozier Library is there, where I would go to study. So it's a beautiful green part of campus. You can walk through. The buildings around it are all brick. It's beautiful. So I would say those are probably the places you want to check out. And honestly, right by the stadium, you have baseball, you have softball, you have the circus. So you can see all of that stuff right there. And I know we're like one of the only campuses ever in the world that has an actual circus on campus. So those are probably the places. Westcott, Landis, the Unconquered statue. Bobby Bowden's statue is outside of UCD. So it's a little bit further around toward the baseball stadium. So it's all over there.
That's one hell of a checklist.
Yeah, we got a lot to do.
What are the coolest stadium traditions? So obviously everybody that comes to Virginia Tech knows about Enter Sandman. They may not know about shake your keys on third down. They may not know about, block that kick whenever punt goes. The Hokey Pokey's got to go. Serious programs don't do that. That's got to go.
Hokey Pokey.
Yeah, that has to go. But any other stadium traditions beside Chief Osceola and the chop? What is there anything else that you guys do?
Okay, so for first things first, it's just Osceola because Osceola wasn't a chief. Just so you know, that's a fun fact that a lot of people don't know.
I can't wait to correct all the frat daddies walking around saying that at Florida State.
Yes, actually, so people say Chief Osceola, but they would say traditionally like it's just Osceola. You have Renegade. He'll ride out with his fiery spear before the game. It gets kind of quiet. They go, whoo, when it goes into the ground. So you can do the whoo with everybody. But really, it's honestly, you have to. Yeah, the chop is really just the big thing. Like there really isn't much more than that. There's no like fourth quarter. As far as I know, there wasn't when I was in school, like put your lights up and a lot of places have like songs like that. Florida obviously has Tom Petty, which is such a cool tradition they've started in Wisconsin, and jump around and all that. It's really mostly the chop, which is played ad nauseum. So with that being said, there's really no time for everything else because you're just constantly doing this. I'm saying,
And is it the cadence? Is it every big play? Is it every first down? Or is it just, are we going to get another Rutgers train experience where it's, hey, my mom texted me, I love you. And I'm just going to play the horn.
Yeah.
No, it's more so like just getting you fired up if there's a big play potential to happen. After something big happens, it's to get the crowd loud, right? So probably a lot when y'all are on offense, probably a lot on like third downs, and stuff like that.
Anything else on the Florida State bucket list? Anything else that we absolutely must do? Are we missing anything? Throw a penny in the wishing well.
No, we don't know. Not that no. There is a kissing bench somewhere, but I never partook in that.
Oh, wow, that's exciting.
A kissing bench.
You got to go find someone to kiss.
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look at, but I'm pretty sure there is. No, other than that, not really. My favorite place to eat is called Gordo's. It's a Cuban spot, but it's just like good vibes. And I miss it every day of my life. Gordo's is my favorite place, but that's pretty much it.
What do we have to? What should we get? We'll do a one bite review. What do you get?
I get pollo a la plancha. It's just like grilled chicken and black
Can you
beans.
imagine me walking up to the counter? Can I get pollola a la plancha, please?
Pollo a la plancha. I get like the plantains, so you have to get the plantains. Yeah, but it's Maduros, I guess. Whatever.
Yummo.
And you have to get fries and ask for Gordo sauce.
Okay.
The key is the Gordo sauce.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try that out.
Letters from the pail.
Letters from the lunch pail. This is not this is not anti Brendan White. I'm so tired of this dialogue. So Brendan Wright asks, what are your thoughts on Pry's unwillingness to name Drones a starter? Is there actually a chance Wells starts again? If not, why not? Say it's because no teams are losing sleep that they'll have to scheme. Basically, why hasn't Kyron Drones been named the starter? I got to tell you, who cares? I am so over the depth chart, like who's starting at quarterback. Show up, put your maroon shirt on. Someone's going to run out there and play quarterback. I would assume it's Kyron Drones. It doesn't really matter what the depth chart says. Like I maybe I'm like in the minority here. I truly don't care. Like at all.
I don't think you're in the minority.
Oh, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. I this dialogue around what the depth chart looks like, who's taking practice snaps. I'm over it.
We all know who's going to start on
It's going to be Kyron Drones. And
yeah, I think too, it's a respect thing for Grant, right? It's just like he's the team captain. It's not his fault that he's hurt. He's trying. But I do think at this point, like I think what you saw this last week against Pitt was a comfortability with Kyron. Like it takes trial and error, and especially as a play caller and Tyler Bowen, like figuring out who your dude is, what he's good at, taking a little bit off his plate because He touches the ball every single time, whether he's running or throwing it. But having to make those decisions, making it a little bit less, all on you, Kyron. So I think now you have to rock with Kyron Jones. But with that being said, it's a respect thing for Grant too. Like, he's still a good quarterback, different skill set, and he's a team captain.
Wait, I got a final question.
Go for it, dude.
As you asked Bashal Tootin, I have to ask Taylor Tannebaum, what is your message to Hokie Nation here before this big game?
Before this big game?
Before this big game.
It might not be your game, but I'm seeing progress in your team. Period. So, I think at the end of the day is continue to support, continue to back them, continue to have fun, because you're going to go back to your stadium and you're going to have a blast the rest of the way. You got a Thursday night game coming against Syracuse. That's going to be great. If this doesn't go your way, that's okay. This doesn't define who you are. Give it a couple years.
Taylor, I'm here to tell you,
wow,
we are not going to stop having fun. There's no way that the fun is going to stop. My last question, I appreciate that. I felt like we just were in a therapy session for a couple minutes, right?
This does not define you. Wow. I feel inspired.
Well, but also, can you not agree that at least the talent level on this team, like the pieces they have,
right,
and the recruits that they're getting is a lot better than it's been in the last couple of years?
I agree. Yes, I think last week was such a breath of fresh air. I don't even want to. We were driving down here to Florida yesterday. I don't even want to think about what the internet would have been like if Tech didn't find a way to win the football game. And they didn't just find a way to win the football game. They played great. So
you need building blocks like last week to build the foundation of what this program is going to look like in the future.
My last question is, and I know you're asked this in every podcast that you go on, but we're going to ask for our listeners. Outlook on the ACC going forward. Has anybody separated themselves? Do you have a favorite? No, it's just carnage.
It's a good type of carnage, though, because I think for the first time in a long time, we're having a conversation of who's going to be in Charlotte and which two teams is it going to be. Like, it's not even just like, oh, it's going to be this person, and like, it genuinely could be a handful of teams at this point. Florida State on paper and with their wins should be it. Does that mean they're not going to stumble? I think there's a loss in there somewhere, just because of what they've shown, and because that's kind of the reality of the situation. You do have a really good ACC. Miami is a possibility. North Carolina, Duke, Louisville's a possibility. I guess you guys haven't lost in conference play either. No, but in all seriousness, there are a few teams. There are a few teams in the mix here. Syracuse does have one loss to Clemson. Like, how do they fare the rest of the way? Like, there are teams that really could vie for this spot here in Charlotte. It's interesting. I love to see it. I think there's 7 teams in this league that are legitimate football teams this year. And it's been a long time since we've said that. And I think by the end of the season too, I know Clemson isn't probably going to Charlotte based on who they've lost to and having 2 losses. But by the end of the season, they're going to be a team that nobody would want to play in a playoff. And that sucks. Sucks that they have 2 losses, because I really do think they're a genuinely good football team, but they made their bed and they'll lay in it, and that's okay.
Wow. They made their bed and they're going to lay in it. It's not your fault. You're being a little nicer to Tech than you're being to Clemson. Gotta say. So here's my thing. Last time you were on the podcast, I asked you, please make sure that you bring the right cameras to the Virginia Tech game. You guys have crushed it 2 times in a row. Like, seriously, bravo. Unbelievable job. Now, here's my next shout out to the crew. My last request for ACC Network. Can we please stop putting Notre Dame on top performers from the ACC graphics? Like, it'll be like one of the top. Here are the top 5 quarterbacks for the ACC.
I don't think they're doing that from the ACC. I think those are coming from other sources.
Then the ACC Network needs to put out a reminder to all these accounts. There are far too many accounts out on the internet.
Oh, we know. We know. Trust me. Sam Hartman does not get mixed in with the group.
Okay. Wow. Then I'm wrong. I need to check myself.
I think someone put out like, hey, here were the QBRs from every single ACC quarterback, and Sam Hartman was listed, but it wasn't from the ACC Network. It was from someone else.
I repeal that. ACC Network, aces across the board.
Well, don't worry. We make sure of that.
Thank you so much. Fantastic stuff. Please have fun in Miami this year. We will come back with the report card on Florida State and 3-0 in Blacksburg. So we're hoping to get you back. It's okay. The dog barks. No problem. We understand.
He barks. Also, we went the entire podcast. Why did nobody tell me to unlock my phone and flip it?
Oh,
what do you mean?
You're talking about the
black bars.
It's fine.
It's okay. It's okay.
Next time.
Yeah. It's all right.
My aesthetic eye is looking. I didn't notice till the end either, so it's okay.
It's all right.
All good.
Taylor,
guys, thanks
enjoy
for
your
having
trip
me on. You know, I love joining you. Have so much fun in Tallahassee. I want a full report back.
You will get an absolute full report. It's going to be fun because Blacksburg doesn't have cell service, and
ever
cell service
so bad.
I know it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to post my dancing TikToks and they never upload. So we're looking forward to it. Taylor, have a great week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, see you guys later.